Coffee. I welcome everyone to Filter Coffee Conversation, FCC, presented to you by Dramantram. So, Filter Coffee Conversations, FCC's mission is to create a community of thoughtful leaders, business enthusiasts, marketeers, entrepreneurs, encourage them and give them a platform to talk about their vision, talk about the journey, so that it enlighten us, not just us, their counterparts, to find their path. So, for our next episode, we have a person who has many feathers on her cap. She's an educator, she's a marketing consultant, she's an entrepreneur, and so on and so forth. So, I wholeheartedly welcome Saumya Kulshreshtha for our FCC's next episode.
Hello.
Hey, Saumya. Yeah, welcome.
Thank you so much.
Yeah,
Thank you.
thank you. Yeah,
Shall
please. Yeah, sure. So, as I gave a brief introduction, that is just the brief, I really need to take my book to tell her accomplishments. So, she is an educator. She has been part of top schools in our country. She's a content writer. She's a social media marketing specialist and brand consultant. She is a voiceover artist. She is a poet, writer, honor and host of Sanjay Mill, creative strategist, and a voracious reader. And yes, so as you can, just to summarize, you have lent your voice for music and poetry. You have lent your brains for strategy and planning. You have lent your hands for content writing. Seriously, Soumya, what is your secret sauce and what drives you?
Secret sauce for doing what?
Secret sauce, what motivates you to touch upon all the fields? Here people are struggling to be professional in one field. So yeah.
Okay. A very long time ago, I had promised myself that I will be happy,
Okay.
thriving, alive, no matter what.
Uh-huh.
And whatever it takes to be all those three things is something I've gone ahead and I've done. If you look at it, my core skill sets are very limited. Like all of us have certain core skill sets. I write.
Huh.
I believe I write decently well. I love using my voice, right? I love speaking, or I love dabbling in arts, which make use of what we call our Vak Shakti, right? And aside from that, I love using my brain. I love building patterns. I love being creative. I love analyzing things that are happening. At any point of time, if my brain is shut, no other skill set will come to be of use. So where all do all of these skill sets come alive? Aside from this, I love reading. I love traveling. So they come alive in education, right? Where I can read a lot, I can accumulate a lot of knowledge, and then I can also deliver it out. I can leave it with people and hope that they make patterns out of it. All of these skill sets also are of use in marketing. What is marketing? But having an idea and then having the means to deliver that idea out to whatever you assume that your audience is. And I am, as of today, also a travel host. And I think I'm using the same skill sets, which are being able to be an effective conversationalist, being able to give people an experience where they can be themselves because you have found so much joy in being yourself. So yeah, I think everything that I do boils down to these certain core skill sets, or let's not even call them skill sets, let's call them our core. And when we actually talk of skills, we make sure we talk of our professional skills, we make sure we talk of हम लोग क्या अच्छा कर सकते हैं. But we don't, with as much emphasis, talk about who we are. What do we do is very different from who we are. And I'd like to believe that at a very core level, I am a person who's driven by empathy. I'm a person who's driven by compassion. And that pours in. It's easy to have empathy and compassion pour into teaching. But can you have empathy and compassion and kindness also pour into fields that are considered to be as professional as marketing? But I can assure you, even my marketing campaigns are delivered with a certain dose of empathy, I'm a great believer in the fact that people today would not want to talk to a straight-jacketed cardboard figure, right? Which brands often are. People would love to talk to brands which talk like them, which is where brands become humanized, which is where brands communicate with people, mirror people who they are talking to. And how can you mirror anyone if you are not driven by a certain bit of humanity, a certain bit of empathy, a certain bit of a drive to leave this world slightly better than what it was when you entered here? So that's what's been driving my journey.
Yeah, to learn to how to be in their shoes and to view the world.
There is
right?
only one way to learn how to be in someone else's shoes.
Huh.
It is by learning how to be in your own.
Okay.
Most of us do not have the kind of awareness of ourselves.
Exactly.
We want to spread joy in the world, say through a marketing campaign or through the kind of work we are doing or through whoever we are. But are we joyous inside our heart? Have we understood what joy, empathy, communication, awareness means for our own selves? The moment you recognize it about yourself, you can present yourself as whoever you want to in front of the world. And frankly, being your own self is something that inspires more people than trying to be something you're not. I think the same applies to brands. Brands often try to communicate a message which they are not. And that message will only go so far. To make that message roll on its own momentum, there has to be some momentum. Where does the momentum come from? It comes from you. Whether you're an individual or a brand. And the reason why I'm also positing, say, individuals in the same zone or in the same vein as brands is primarily because all of us who exist socially, digitally, aren't we all brands in ourselves? You look at the Instagram feeds of all of your friends, they try to maintain a consistency. कि अगर मैं फूलों की फोटो डाल रही हूँ तो मैं फूलों की फोटो डाल
हाँ.
या मैं कोई रैंडम फोटो डाल के एक अच्छा सा कोट उसके साथ लगा रही हूँ तो मैं कंसिस्टेंटली वो करूँ बिकॉज समवेयर आवर कम्युनिटी आवर पीयर ग्रुप इज एक्सपेक्टिंग इट. What are you essentially doing? You're defining your communication strategy. You're defining your brand image. If I'm a poet on social media, I will continue to be a poet on social media. If I'm someone who reads and who travels, right, my social media feed is going to reflect that. Social media is a place where we want to be perceived as something.
Exactly,
Right?
yeah.
And if the gap between who you are and what you want to be perceived as, if that gap can be bridged, you will be an effective communicator, an effective marketer, whether for yourself or for the brand that you're representing or the brand that you're working on or the brand that you are.
True. So now that we have come to the core of FCC, that is all about marketing. So how do you define or how do you make a 10-year-old understand what is marketing as you have a teaching background? So just imagine I'm a 10-year-old. I'm not. But,
You're not.
but still, for sake, let's assume, and you are teaching me what is marketing.
The very core marketing is communicating. Right,
Okay.
of course, you can tell me, okay, but marketing communications भी तो field होता है, फिर communications अलग field होता है, branding अलग field होता है, marketing अलग field होता है. All of that, if I have to very at the core talk about what marketing is, it is communicating. It is having an idea, it is having a product which you want to take to people. How do you do that? You figure out what do you want to say. You figure out how do you want to say it. You figure out who do you want to say it to. Right? Which is also why I believe effective communicators make for effective marketers, because they understand these three things. We cannot say the same thing even if we have understood, okay, this is what I want to communicate. I will not use the same marketing vehicle or say communication vehicle or the same kind of words or the same kind of visuals to communicate to Sarga, to communicate to say the CEO of a company, to communicate to say my 7th graders in a class. Once you have fine-tuned your idea, you need to understand what is the most effective vehicle to deliver it. What are the most effective words? Are words effective? No, visuals are more effective. Oh, are visuals effective? Can we only play with audio? These all become your vehicles. How do you want to impact the TG that you want to go to? So essentially in communication or in marketing, I believe, and I could be wrong, but this is how I've approached marketing campaigns. What do you want to say? Who do you want to say it to? How do you want to say? You sort these three things out and you can build the most rock solid, effective, sustainable marketing strategies that there are. And usually I believe brands and even individuals fall short of one of these three. There are people who are very good with words. They would know how to craft the most beautiful campaign. But if I ask them at a very core level, acha kiske liye? Who do you want? Okay, say consider that there is this colors brand, okay? There are these colors. Now, when you create a marketing campaign for colors, are you talking to bachas or are you talking to bachas ka parents? Because bachas may want the colors, but they can't buy the colors.
Exactly.
The parents may not want the colors, but they are the only people in the capacity for buying the colors. How do you bifurcate your marketing strategy, or how do you streamline it? So many times also what has happened is, people who have these fancy jazzy products, if you ask them a simple question which is around, why should I buy your colors? Why should I buy your product? There is no idea that they're able to sell to you. And I think the consumerist mindset, at least in the urban eras, is we aren't really buying products. We are buying ideas.
Okay.
We aren't really buying a soap, unless that soap is probably giving us a lot of moisturized skin or it is giving us a lot of beauty. So are you really buying something to wash yourself? Or what is that larger idea? Which is why if you enter a supermarket, you'll be like, हाँ ये वाला नहीं, हम ये वाला लेंगे. How do you bring people to from ye wala nahi to ye wala? Is where the entire communication, that idea that you're able to sell, that idea that is able to make people your brand ambassadors, yeah?
True.
Because you've bought into that idea. And what is different about that idea from all the ideas that have come isse pehle? That is where what we call, because I'm a teacher also, so what we effectively also tell to our classrooms is, padhai, content, information, data exists online. So why are we teaching you? What is happening in the classroom? Because we still have to teach you how to think creatively. Because we still have to teach you how to think collaboratively. Because we still have to teach you how to communicate effectively. So creativity, collaboration, critical thinking, communication abilities and conscientiousness. These are still skills that we have to deliver to people. Because they don't just come. So आपको बहुत सारा data online मिल गया, but उस data का करना क्या? वो मुझ जैसा टीचर रहेगा क्लासरूम में और बोलेगा कि अच्छा ऐसे पैटर्न्स बनाओ, ऐसे इन्फॉर्मेशन एक्सेप्ट करो, ऐसे इन्फॉर्मेशन रिजेक्ट करो, एंड देन मेक योर ओन ओपिनियंस ऑन इट, देन मेक योर ओन स्टोरी आउट ऑफ इट, राइट? अ व्हाइल अगो आई थिंक India, I think, has been blessed with these superbly beautiful, I wouldn't call them marketing campaigns, I would call them advertising campaigns, all right? Pan India advertising campaigns, Mile Sur Mera Tumhara, right? So unification campaign, but these campaigns were not कि लोग साइलो में बैठे और उन्होंने सोचा चलो ये कर देते हैं, right? It was based on solid research. It was based upon understanding of किसको हमें ये सुनाना है, तो किस तरह के icons इस गाने में लेके आए, हिंदी में करें ये गाना, नहीं चलो multiple languages में करते हैं, because you have to hit out a larger cohort. These days, marketing campaigns, because you have to deliver volume, right? You have to, initially if you made one ad for a year or 2 years, now you have to make one post every day. There is no research. There is no understanding. There is no depth. There is no empathy with the people that you want to sell yourselves out to, right? So, what I mean to really bring it all down to is saying, for me, good marketing is great communication. And however you define great communication, that's how I boil it down to.
I think some of the term might go from here, but
अगर
yeah.
आप एक 10 साल के बच्चे को, and I would love to share this, I have been fortunate enough to teach an entrepreneurship curriculum.
Okay,
all right, in which because I'm a communications person, so I only teach communications, I teach marketing communications. और हम छोटे बच्चों से ये करवाते हैं, हम उनसे कहते हैं स्कूल बनाओ. अगर तुम एक स्कूल बना पाते तो स्कूल में क्या पढ़ाया जाता? और बिकॉज छोटे बच्चों का जो थिंकिंग है वो अनटच्ड, इनोसेंट, क्रिएटिव, ब्रेव, फ्री है, ठीक है? क्रिएटिविटी रिक्वायर्स अ सर्टेन डिग्री ऑफ ब्रेवरी. आप सेफ रह के क्रिएटिव नहीं हो सकते, इट्स अ बेसलाइन थिंग. आप ईगोटिस्टिकल होके भी क्रिएटिव नहीं हो सकते, very baseline things, right? So this has actually happened to me. I've taught this in Delhi government schools and UP government schools. And बच्चों से बोलो किस तरह का स्कूल बनेगा, तो कुछ बच्चे होते हैं जी किसानी का स्कूल बनाएंगे, क्योंकि हम अच्छे से नहीं कर पा रहे, हमारे बड़े लोग परेशान हैं, ठीक है? मेरा कोहोर्ट, मेरी टीजी अंडरस्टैंड वो लोग कैसे कम्युनिकेट करेंगे, बट उसमें भी फिर आपको कुछ आउटलायर्स मिलेंगे जो बोलेंगे मैम मैथ साइंस का स्कूल नहीं बनाएंगे, हम आर्ट्स का स्कूल बनाएंगे. ठीक है, ठीक है, आपने डिसाइड कर लिया कि आपको प्रोडक्ट किस तरीके का बनाना है. पहली चीज क्या आती है इस प्रोडक्ट का? नेमिंग. फर्स्ट थिंग इज नेमिंग. तो बच्चे बहुत क्रिएटिव नाम रखते हैं. कुछ बच्चे एस्पिरेशनल होते हैं तो वो अंग्रेजी में नाम ढूंढते हैं. ऑल कलर्स हाई स्कूल, ठीक है? यहाँ पे क्या पढ़ाया जाता है? आर्ट एंड क्राफ्ट, ठीक है? किसानी का आप भी कुछ सोच सकते हैं, यू नो, पीपल हु आर विद अस प्रोबेबली इन दिस शो, यू कैन ऑल्सो थिंक दैट इफ यू वर टू क्रिएट अ स्कूल जो कि कृषि प्रधान होता है, जिसमें फार्मिंग सिखाई जाती, फार्मिंग के टेक्निक सिखाए जाते, तो उसका सुंदर सा नाम क्या हो सकता है? ये आपने सेकंड स्टेज अचीव कर ली. आई एम टॉकिंग ऑफ नॉट 10-year-olds बट से 7th graders, 8th graders being able to do this. फिर थर्ड चीज हम आते हैं उनके पास ये बोलने के लिए, परफेक्ट, अब बताओ कि इसका लोगो कैसा होगा. तो आपने सडनली क्या किया, बच्चों को टेक्सचुअली सोचने की जगह अब आप विजुअली सोचवा रहे हो. तो एक कृषि जो स्कूल है उसका लोगो हो सकता है एक सिंगल स्ट्रैंड ऑफ फसल जो उग रही है, पीछे उसके सूरज उग रहा है, ठीक है. और बच्चे फिर कॉन्सेप्ट बताएंगे कि नहीं हम चाहते हैं ताकि अ न्यू डॉन कम्स, राइट. सो आपने क्या बनाया, उसके पीछे का थॉट क्या है, वहां से आपकी कम्युनिकेशन डिफाइन होनी शुरू हो जाती है. ऑल ऑफ दिस इज डन बाय किड्स. सो मार्केटिंग और कम्युनिकेटिंग, इफ यू आर एबल टू स्ट्रीमलाइन इट in certain manners, what 10-year-old and what 70-year-old, they will be at parallel. ऐसा नहीं होगा कि वहां से ज्यादा अच्छे, वहां से स्ट्रक्चर ज्यादा अच्छे आएंगे. 70 साल का अगर एक एक्सपीरियंस्ड मार्केटर सेम चीजें बनाएगा, बट जो छोटे बच्चे बनाएंगे वहां से फ्रीडम ज्यादा आएगा. उनको सन नहीं बनाना, अगर येलो कलर में वो ग्रीन कलर में सन बनाएंगे, ठीक है, कि हम चाहते हैं कि हरा भरा सवेरा हो, ठीक है, तो हम सन को ग्रीन कर देते हैं यार, कोई बात नहीं. You know, a 70-year-old may ask, but no, it won't work. But a 10-year-old will convince you, no, it will work. Because हमें तो सूरज हरा दिख रहा है. So can you be brave with what you are spreading out to people? And can you have a narrative? And if you have a narrative, can you tone it down? Tone it down भी गलत word है. Can you effectively pack and repack it?
Packaging.
Do bring it to people. I have to share this with you since you represent Dramantram last year, and of course there are people all around us who are also shooting what is happening here. It's not just Sarga and me here. There are lots of people around. Last year I had done an activity with marketing with the people of Dramantram, all right, which was on discovering each other. So what we had done was that हमने pairs में divide किया था लोगों को और कहा था कि एक object में सामने वाले बंदे को reduce करो.
Okay.
ठीक है. If Sarga was not Sarga but an object, then what object would Sarga be? All right. What am I doing? What I'm doing is aligning a personality for you, creating a story, and this object then eventually becomes a symbol for you. Marketing flows on symbols. Marketing will not flow on Sarga as a brand. But what is symbolically, what is Sarga sort of showing? So for example, if there is a person who's very knowledge driven and who wants other people to constantly be inspired in her presence, that person is a candle. Because अगर दुनिया से सूरज चला भी जाए, कैंडल अपने आसपास अंधेरा नहीं होने देती है. Immaterial of whatever is happening outside. I wish people understood that marketing requires so much of depth. Communication requires so much of depth and thought. It's not कि brief आया, ये किया, लिखा, इसका ये visual बनाया, डाल दिया. But क्या इस journey में कोई seamlessness है? कोई एक thread है जो इसको जोड़ रहा है? Best is leave it to the kids to understand. I asked this again I can share with you. I asked a child, and you might find it very funny, but I asked a child to make a logo of a school, you know, school, general school, और knowledge को क्या represent करता है. And I told them कि knowledge के लिए आप कोई standard चीजें नहीं use कर सकते, pen, paper,
books,
सरस्वती, माँ, you can't use all of this. That child made a perfume का bottle.
हाँ.
है ना? That I also had that expression. Perfume का bottle, because their funda was simple. नॉलेज के प्रेजेंस में आप अनटच नहीं रह सकते. तो अगर इस रूम के किसी भी कोने में हमने परफ्यूम की बॉटल खोल दी, उसकी महक हर जगह डिफ्यूज हो जाएगी. It will touch everyone in its presence. So it may sound odd, but it's a great starting point for us to create it into something. At least it's not a lotus, it's not a diya, it's not Saraswati Ma. It's perfume.
True.
Bottle of knowledge once opened will diffuse everywhere and bring everyone in its touch, under its influence. What a thought.
Seriously. Whoa, that's...
Sixth graders. Sixth graders.
They are way ahead, I must say.
This was in a rural school in Bulandshahr, in fact.
Okay.
Rural kids who made this.
Even I guess adults can't be the imagination of
Adults
kids.
can't imagine because adults have boundaries of conditioning. इतना अच्छा बनाएंगे, ये उनको अच्छा लगेगा, क्या लगेगा पे नहीं पहुंचे, ये उनको अच्छा लगेगा, ये क्या है? A lot of us have not even decoded that for us. So I always give this, you know, like a thought experiment कि आप एक KG क्लास में जाओ, आप म्यूजिक प्ले करो और बच्चों से बोलो नाचो, वो नाचेंगे, उनको मजा आएगा, ठीक है? They will dance in all forms of hip hops and Nagin dances and whatever, however they can move their body. Go to grade 5, play music, ask kids to dance. all of them won't dance. Couple of them maybe. थोड़ा इधर उधर देखेंगे. Repeat this activity in grade 9. They will sit still. क्या हो रहा है हमारे साथ? ऐसे कैसे नाच सकते हैं? Repeat the activity in grade 12. Not only will they not dance, they will actively curse you. Madam पागल हो गई है. They will do that.
ये क्या हो रहा है?
But why? Now think about why has this happened. Because that little kid doesn't care. He's not trying to please anyone. Right? But an elder kid is like, लोग क्या कहेंगे? ये कैसे होगा? वो कैसे होगा? They will never even ask the question कि क्या मेरा डांस करने का मन है? और अगर मन है तो मैं क्यों नहीं नाच सकता? ठीक है. So जो conditioning के frameworks, which is why I'm saying, to be great at marketing, you have to be great at creating. And any kind of creating or creativity cannot happen till the time you're brave enough to sit in front of the client and tell that client, here is a life-changing idea and it will change lives, but you have to listen to me. And you have to listen to me till I don't finish my entire story in front of you. And then be convinced about it. If you are convinced about it, there is no obstacle that you won't cross to make that campaign effective. Budget or no budget. Social media.
True. And one of the line when we were having a discussion before, you said you can do marketing without a marketing budget.
I didn't say that.
Okay.
I didn't say that. Sarga asked me that what happens if you don't have budget. I just said that you can cut down on marketing expenses without cutting down on marketing. If at all you are creative enough. You don't need one brand ambassador of an A-list celebrity grade if all of your consumers became your brand ambassadors. And how can you achieve that? You can achieve that via gimmickry, you can achieve that via gratification, you can achieve that by... I think 1 month ago I went into the superstore and I bought a packet of oats और मैं oats खाती भी नहीं हूँ क्योंकि उसके पैकेट पे बहुत अच्छे illustrations थे. बहुत ही अच्छे illustrations थे and there was a story about health and about it had kids. And I was like, ये तो मुझे खाना पड़ेगा. Maybe that's how I can live that story.
The want and
but
need, right?
Yeah, I mean, I was in the want category. But I have saved that packet. Oats were okay. Like, I wouldn't say कि packaging से oats पे फर्क पड़ा, but एक product बिका. And I've saved that packet to use it in a classroom as a case study. Because why not? Because it worked on me. Packaging matters.
True.
We eat or we consume with our eyes first, our nose second, our mouth third. आप अपनी आंखों से कंज्यूम अपने तो इनको ना पब्लिक सेंसेस बोलते हैं आंख और कान जहाँ से आप मास इन्फॉर्मेशन रिसीव करते हैं राइट तो जो आपने अपनी आंखों से और कान से आपको अच्छा लग गया यू विल बी ड्रॉन टुवर्ड्स इट आई डोंट यू नो देयर इज दिस ह्यूज डिबेट इन से एकेडेमिया कि किताब का कंटेंट अच्छा हो या कवर अच्छा हो हम कहते हैं कंटेंट तो अच्छा होना ही चाहिए लेकिन अगर कवर अच्छा नहीं होगा तो यहाँ से ये किताब ना शेल्फ से उठाई नहीं जाएगी तो पहले उठाने पे तो मजबूर करो वो ये डिफाइन करेगा हाउ मेनी पीपल आर अवेयर इन बुक स्टोर्स कि हाँ ये इसका नाम ऐसा है तो ये किताब ऐसी होगी ये क्लासिक होगी नहीं दिस इज व्हाट मेक्स यू पिक अप थिंग्स एंड दीज आर बेसलाइन थिंग्स वी हैव टू एक्सेप्ट एज मार्केटर्स कि हाँ किस चीज़ पे एक्ट करने की कोशिश कर रहे हो किस तरह का एक्सपीरियंस बनाने की कोशिश कर रहे हो किस तरह की ब्रांड बनाने की कोशिश कर रहे हो किस तरह की मैसेजिंग बनाने की कोशिश कर रहे हो एंड बिलीव मी देन दिस एंटायर वर्ल्ड इज योर प्लेग्राउंड then nothing will stop you, no expenses, nothing. You will figure out. I mean, you know, there are days, I'm sure marketers would understand this, that instead of paying an agency to make you trend on Twitter, we have gone left, right and center into all of our branch offices and told everyone in the company, game kheloge. And if you have 2000 employees coming in support of you and saying कि हाँ game खेलेंगे तो हम number 2, number 3 पर trend हुए हैं right क्योंकि फिर once your people felt motivated enough and they understood the story that you were trying to deliver, they called up their friends. They branched. I have achieved about 65,000 tweets in 1 hour, which is a huge number by any. And no, क्या कहते हैं उसको scheduled tweets, no business, no nothing. Active conversations happening between people. Now we didn't have budget to give to an agency and them use तो then उनके फिर bots use होंगे और आप ट्रेंड करोगे हमने वो premise ही eliminate कर दिया हमने कहा गेम खेलेंगे we will all play together and you know the added advantage people enjoyed so much that उन्होंने Instagram पे stories but हमारा Twitter centric campaign था but then these people also put out stories on Instagram these people also and suddenly you realize that while you were trying to launch a product जिसको आपको ट्रेंड कराना था suddenly you have also established that hey you're a great work culture organization. बिकॉज आपके एम्प्लॉयज के फ्रेंड्स जो वो स्टोरीज देख रहे हैं सडनली वो रश कर रहे हैं कि इनका ऑफिस तो कितना कूल है, बट हम थे उस दिन के लिए कूल, तो कहानी में कोई झूठ ही नहीं था.
True. That's what actually is missing from some of the marketing campaigns, like interactive marketing. That's
Interactive marketing is the marketing right now. See, initially you would have unilateral campaigns जो newspaper में चली गई या फिर unidirectional actually, one side of communication happening, या टीवी पर advertisement आ गया, आपने advertisement देख लिया, आप hoardings लग गई, right? आपने देख लिया, अच्छा लगा, आपने product खरीद लिया, नहीं अच्छा लगा, आपने product नहीं खरीदा. But these days जितना आप OTT या जितना आप social media platforms पर अपने campaigns launch करोगे, please always be ready for a backlash or appreciation. All of marketing and good marketing, I believe, is two-way now, right? I wouldn't name, but say कि अगर एक अच्छा telecom company, एक अच्छा service क्या बोलते हैं फोन सर्विस प्रोवाइडर अगर एक कैंपेन लॉन्च करेगा तो इससे पहले वो कैंपेन वायरल हो सबसे पहले गालियां वायरल होंगी, बिकॉज नेटवर्क हर जगह नहीं आता है. So any frustrated individual is going to send out those tweets, is going to bring out those comments कि हाँ ad बाद में करना, सर्विस तो अच्छी करो पहले. You are answerable now. So you have to ensure that what you are delivering is on point before you try to climb high onto a horse of imagination and creativity and say कि हाँ हमारा network हर जगह पहुँचता है. You will be called out for it. So change the messaging ना बाबा. Then don't stick with that messaging, which is what I said. Number one, what to say. People are doing all sorts of nonsense, 2 posts on social media on one day. But if you ask them, अच्छा पर बात क्या करने की कोशिश कर रहे हो? What do you want? If I give you these 20 posts that you sent out in the month of July, what were you trying to communicate? There is nothing there. There is no unity of communication. There is no idea, one idea or say even चलो एक नहीं, आपको 3 ideas communicate करने हैं. वो 3 भी नहीं है वहाँ पर. वहाँ पर कुछ भी है. वहाँ पर हर day का wish जा रहा है. From typewriters day to daughter's day to this day to that day, even if it's not relevant for your brand.
I guess that's in the race to become consistent and to create a brand recall.
Become consistent for what? I will always ask what?
Consistency.
Consistency से क्या होगा?
To be there because
But
there
isn't
has been-
consistency also consistency of communication, or is it just consistency of presence?
Yeah, true.
If I
Not
am
just
saying
the
I am a
brand,
poet,
right?
but one day I turn up in front of you and I start dancing. The next day I turn up in front of you and I start singing. The third day I turn up in front of you and like आज तो मैं visual art करके दिखाऊंगी. Fifth day I turn up in front of you and I am a photographer. Then would you call this consistency? Just being there is not consistency. Consistency is also consistency of thought, consistency of communication, consistency of idea.
Makes sense, truly.
Again, this
That's
is
how-
request to everyone. Ask yourself baseline questions. Who, what, why are the simplest baseline questions. Who, what, why, how. क्या करना है? क्यों करना है?
क्यों?
क्यों
Start with
करना
why.
है? मत डालो ना दिन में 2 पोस्ट बचाओ 1000 रुपया. ठीक है. फिर हम कहते हैं कि एक्सपेंसेस बहुत ज्यादा है. एक्सपेंसेस ज्यादा इसलिए हैं क्योंकि ऑप्टिमाइज नहीं है. अगर एक्सपेंसेस ऑप्टिमाइज्ड होंगे तो ब्रांड क्या, इंडिविजुअल क्या, यू विल बी एबल टू एटलीस्ट अंडरस्टैंड अच्छा यहाँ पैसा डालना है, यहाँ पर ज़रूरी नहीं है, सिर्फ इसलिए नहीं भागना है क्योंकि सब लोग भाग रहे हैं, इसलिए भागना है क्योंकि सब लोग समंदर की तरफ भाग रहे हैं पर मुझे तो पहाड़ चढ़ना है, तो रास्ता ही अलग है. तो उसके लिए मैं स्विम स्लीपर्स खरीद के क्या करूँगी, मुझे तो ट्रैकिंग शूज़ चाहिए ना. पर आप कह रहे हो क्योंकि सबने स्विमिंग स्लीपर्स पहने हैं या जो भी कहते हो उनको, तो हम भी वही पहनेंगे. Consistency is not that.
So brand recall and consistency are like two separate. Brand recall comes only when consistency of thought,
Consistency
of
of
message
thought,
is
of messaging, of visualization is there.
there. Okay.
All of these things need to come together. And again, I have to say this, it is some of these things we've actually achieved in our work with Dramantram. So amongst the many things that Sarga told you is, one of the things is I've been with Dramantram now for, Dramantram को कितने साल हो गए?
7, 8 years.
8 साल? मैं 8 साल से Dramantram के साथ
Yeah,
हूँ. In some
she's been our
capacity or
long
the
time
other.
friend.
And we have been able to create effective branding campaigns. What I have worked on are branding campaigns. जिसमें there was every kind of recall. There was a recall using a tagline. There was a recall using a color. There was a recall using an architecture, a creative architecture around this brand. So recall comes with everything, right? Is recall your only aim, or are you going to willing to go one step ahead of recall and say, I'm also going to inspire, I'm going to change all of my consumers into my brand advocates? Then आपको प्यारी प्यारी बातें करनी पड़ेंगी. और अगर उन बातों में essence है, substance है, if they are solid, they will sustain. आपकी marketing को आप कितना sustain करोगे? See, what are the biggest advertising campaigns in the world? One that comes to or India, one that comes to mind is Fevicol. ये फेविकॉल का जोड़ है, टूटेगा नहीं. ये लोग घरों पे बोलते थे जब उनको फेविकॉल का डब्बा दिखता था, या उनको प्रैंक करना होता था किसी को, ठीक है, या हमारा बजाज कैंपेन. हमको जिंगल्स याद है आज तक, बिकॉज हम बजाज स्कूटर पे विच बुलंद भारत की बुलंद तस्वीर. सो राइडिंग बजाज इज लाइक प्राइड ऑफ इंडिया. सो वी वुड सिंग दैट. नाउ यू मे बी वेरी यंग, आई एम ओल्ड ना, आई एम अ बूमर. सो वी हैव सीन 90s के मार्केटिंग कैंपेन्स वेर इन एनीथिंग that we saw on TV became a household sort of a communication, right? How much of digital communication is household? I believe Zomato is. I look forward to their push notifications. Sorry, I'm like that. But they'll send you such cute notifications as in आज खाना खाया? I'm like मुझसे कोई भी नहीं पूछ रहा है. But understand why it works. Understand why हो सकता है लोगों को हल्का अच्छा भी लगे, because that's the reality for times. We are not living in family setups where your mother 10 times comes during the day and asks, बेटा चाय पिया, बेटा ये किया, बेटा वो किया. The essential loneliness of 21st century existence, urban existence, is what that is playing on. आपको लग रहा है बेवकूफ़ी चल रही है कि चलो कुछ भी notification आ गई. But I know I saw that and I was like, oh, that's a nice notification. I will read all Zomato notifications now, right? So they knew that they had a marketing vehicle, they knew who they were talking to, and how they were talking to you. And we have tools left, right and center right now. Data is such an effective tool. But you know what I've seen in marketing companies also? The data people and the creative people sit at 100 meters का difference from each other. Because ये creative काम कर रहे हैं, वो data का काम कर रहे हैं. Baba, marry them. Bring them together. And then see how your campaigns are going to fly off. That's research. That is who you're talking to. That's not just numbers. Data is not just quant. Data is qualitative also. Use it, right? And ये challenge है creative लोगों के लिए. Creative लोग भी ना थोड़े ऐसे होते हैं कि हम तो एक बादल के ऊपर बैठ के बातें करेंगे, हम नीचे आएंगे ही नहीं, ठीक है, हम बादलों के ऊपर रहेंगे. नहीं, क्यों रहोगे? क्योंकि काम तो तुम्हें धरती पे करना है ना. Marry this, bring things together. Things when they collaborate and when there is harmony is what is the most effective artistic medium? Cinema. Why? Because there is visual art, there is text, there is art design, there is spoken dialogues, there is singing, there is dancing, there is any kind of art you can imagine comes together in cinema.
Wholesome package, right?
Why not in marketing? And I'm not saying art सारा ले आओ साथ में, but सारी information तो लेके आओ, सारी skills तो लेके आओ साथ में. Why create these? You've created verticals so that expert knowledge can come in, not go out into the world. Which is where agencies, I believe, fail. Which is where I believe आपने हर तरह के experts बुला लिए पर उनको बताया नहीं एक दूसरे से बात कैसे करनी है. कुछ नहीं होगा. मुझे इतना सा काम आता है, तो अगर मेरे को 4 supporting vehicles नहीं मिलेंगे, ये काम नहीं निकलेगा.
Okay, that's so much we got to know about marketing, and
you all know this.
One.
You just wanted to hear it from someone else.
Actually, yeah, but we might not even think also some of the dimensions that we haven't yet touched just opened up.
So we all want to think where we are. What I'm essentially saying is go 6 layers नीचे, so that you can launch 10 layers above. मझधार में से कुछ नहीं होगा. True. And the best of work is simplistic.
Yeah, going back to the roots, analyze.
Absolutely. Fundae सारे same हैं.
True. Yeah, and now coming to this marketing.
Okay, we have about 5 minutes more.
Okay.
Tell me what you want to ask me.
Just when I was just curious about that question that you said you will want to tell it to everyone, right? About your background as an educator.
My background as an educator.
Yeah, the question is that so nowadays people in my generation and all, I don't hear much people saying I want to be a teacher, want to be an educator. Like I feel that is sometimes a backup option or the second option if this work doesn't work out. So what your thoughts on that?
Okay. It's a very good question. So I'm also taking time with answering it, and it's okay. We can take this time. मैं ज़्यादा ना I wouldn't try to peddle nonsense here, but I genuinely believe teaching is one of the greatest professions that's out there for sure, because teachers nurture every other profession. कोई भी और प्रोफेशन में आपको जाने के लिए देखो टीचर कंपलसरी है, और टीचर्स फिर जितने ज़्यादा अच्छे होंगे कम्युनिटी, एक सोसाइटी, एक कंट्री, एक स्टेट में, मुझे लगता है उतने अच्छे वहाँ के लोग होंगे, वहाँ की कम्युनिटीज़ होंगी, वहाँ की सोशल अंडरस्टैंडिंग होगी, वहाँ की पॉलिटिकल अंडरस्टैंडिंग होगी. Unfortunately, in a country like India, where there is so much of population, there's so much of pressure to deliver, and there's so much of inequality that everyone needs a different kind of setup to learn and to teach in, we are not able to achieve that kind of quality of teaching for sure, I understand. But to come to your question, see, teaching has not been seen as aspirational because of a couple of reasons. Number one, teaching is seen as a gendered profession. औरतें ही करेंगी जिन, और तो आसान प्रोफेशन बोलते हैं ना कि 8 to 2 की जॉब, बाकी ऑफिसेस तो 9 to 5 होते हैं. They don't understand that no, there is such a lot of post office काम, there is such a lot of post school work that teachers still do. And now with WhatsApp activated, there are parents and kids who are 24/7 in touch with teachers already. Teaching as a profession has changed. Number two, the payouts for this kind of profession, the kind of just it's not cool. I think the number three is branding. अगर आप टीचिंग की ब्रांडिंग सोचो क्या है, सो यू नो यू थिंक ऑफ ओके पीपल इन साड़ीज विद मोटा चश्मा, और यू नो वेरी स्ट्रिक्ट पीपल हु डोंट नो हाउ टू लाफ, हु डोंट नो डांटी मारेंगे, मैथ का होमवर्क नहीं किया तो क्या, पीटी में अगर तुम 4 चक्कर नहीं भागे तो यू नो. I think what we also need to do is change the branding of this profession to something really cool. Something that you're not doing just to earn an income, but legit to make a change in the world. And being a very cool teacher myself, I can tell you, the way you can inform, inspire, and affect a change as a teacher, there is no other profession that can do that. And one of the things teachers also need to understand is they all have to, or people who are aspiring to be teachers, you have to first of all break down the pedestal जिस पे आप खुद खड़े हो. You have to break down that pedestal. Teachers, like brands, also now need to communicate in a very democratic setup with their kids, because kids are empowered with data, with information, with tools, and with resources. So as a teacher, what is your job right now? Your job is, number one, to be absolutely good with what you are teaching, having technical knowledge. Number two is to understand more than a teacher, you're a learner. Because knowledge is not static. Knowledge is constantly growing. It constantly needs upgrades. It constantly needs changes. It is dynamic. And number three, to understand, in a classroom, you're not just teaching a subject. You are teaching so many other things. You're constantly trying to create motivation amongst your classroom. You're constantly trying to build your classroom as a community of collaborative, good individuals. You have to teach those 5 skills जो मैंने बताए थे, और VUCA. You have to teach them creativity, critical thinking, collaboration, conscientiousness, and communications, right? And you have to teach kids how to consume information. There is information out there, but information is erroneous also. क्योंकि कोई vetting नहीं हो रही है information की. मैं अगर कल सुबह ये लिख के डालना चाहूँ Google पर, that the sun does rise from the, कहाँ से rise करता है? इससे. So sun does rise from the west, मैं डाल सकती हूँ. Assume 1% in the world who doesn't know कि sun does not rise in the west. वो consume करेगा, मान लेगा कि सही है. तो सिर्फ knowledge Google करना is not enough. Enough Google करना to be able to make your own patterns and opinions and thoughts. Facilitating information consumption. That is also the role of teachers. Teachers are power centers in their own right, and I wish more people understood this. And the second thing I wish people understood is, if you are good at what you do, you are invariably a teacher. Because आपको मन करेगा औरों को जाके बताने का. टीचिंग सिर्फ वो नहीं है जो क्लासरूम्स में हो रही है, ठीक है, थोड़ी सी टीचिंग और लर्निंग यहाँ पर भी हो रही है, राइट. थोड़ी सी टीचिंग लर्निंग ऑफिस सेटअप्स में भी होती है. सुबह उठ के कभी कभी नहीं आते आपके एंथू कटलेट कॉलीग्स एंड देयर लाइक, तुझे पता है नया क्या हुआ. Like there was an Enthu Cutlet who came to me today, Saumya, मैं एक AI tool experiment कर रहा हूँ, इसमें ये होता है, ये होता है, ये होता है, आप यहाँ पे बैठो, I will show this to you. What is that person doing? You can't not teach if you have information. It's just that you're not teaching in what is regarded as a teaching setup. With my experience, I've taught in schools, I've taught in NGOs, I've taught in colleges, I've taught on terraces, I've taught on footpaths, I've taught in metros, I've taught in offices, I have taught in museums, I have taught anywhere. I was willing to share information and there were people willing to receive information. That. बाकी थोड़ा सा काम एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन का भी है in terms of making teaching a well-paying profession also. It is a well-paying profession already with the recent kind of upgrades, policy upgrades that we've seen, but that wealth is not reaching teachers because of so many systems that we have to navigate. But teaching is cool, guys.
Yeah. we all are here because of our teachers.
We are all here because of our teachers,
Teachers.
because of our good teachers.
Good
That
teachers.
also I have to say. Sometimes हम लोगों को इतना pedestal पे रख देते हैं कि जो वो अच्छा नहीं कर रहे होते, उसको भी हम wash over कर जाते हैं. नहीं, call out good teachers, call out bad teachers. Have some mechanism. There are kids जिनको teachers से inspiration मिली है. There are kids जिनको teachers ने ruin किया. And if I can't say it as a teacher, then I don't know who can. So I say this, you know, it's you are not great at what you do by the virtue of who you are. It is by the virtue of what you do. I mean, come on, in your company, if there are 5 designers, they are not great because they are designers. They are great because they design well. Same goes for teachers. Not all of our teachers were great. There were some, and the ratio would usually be 1:10. एक अच्छा टीचर जो हमें याद रहता है कि किसी वीक मोमेंट में किसी ने हेल्प किया था, या हमें मैथ बिल्कुल नहीं आती थी बट उसने ऐसा पढ़ाया दैट हम मजबूर हो गए मैथ्स पढ़ने पर. दिस इज ओनली 1 in 10 टीचर्स. वो भी शायद मैं ज़्यादा बोल रही हूँ बिकॉज आई हैव बीन टू पब्लिक स्कूल्स. So we need good teachers, we need inspired teachers, we need well-paying teachers, we need teachers who can negotiate their salary because they've been able to show a good result. We need all of this from the policy side, from the infrastructure side. But what does it take to become a teacher yourself is nothing. If you know something, if you're passionate about something, I believe all of us are teachers in some manner or the other.
That's overall a good branding for the whole teacher community.
For who?
The teachers. We can
Yeah, I mean, yes, I know what
brand,
you're saying.
I mean,
but yes.
the whole thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So finally, what message you can give to everyone who
मेरे
the
स्कूल का
business
मोटो था,
teachers?
बड़ा अच्छा था. Be yourself. It's the toughest and the easiest thing to be.
True.
Be yourself. Find yourself. If you are who you are, you will be the greatest possible asset for the world. Which is why अगर ड्रामांत्रम का ऑफ साइड भी जाता है और मुझे बैठ के नहीं जाना है, मुझे लेट के जाना है, तो मैं 10 सीटें घेर लेती हूँ because I know what I want to do. Rest people negotiate. No, that's just remembering a very, very good time that I spent with this entire team, with this lovely team. But no, it is our baseline understanding of who we are, where we want to go, what drives us, is so conditioned by people and environment and everything else that I see people hustling along without knowing why. You have to hustle, but with knowledge. And you have to constantly grow. Growth mindset अगर आपने adopt कर लिया और आपकी awareness हो गई about आप कौन हो, क्या हो, क्यों हो, that's the best thing you can be for the world. That's it.
True. Anyway, cheers to all the marketers, to all the teachers.
Teachers.
Marketing educators.
Thank you.